10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
This is Diane Andrews in Black and White. The issues you don't want to talk about. The arts and entertainment you need to know. And now here's your host, Diane Andrews.
Thank you, audience. I'm Diane Andrews. I'm your host of Diane Andrews in Black and White. Thank you for being out there today. You're looking mighty good sitting out there in the audience. And as I always tell our people on television, I know you're dressed up, your hair is done, you got your high heels on, your 4 or 5 inch heels like me, and I'm looking at you looking back at us. I want more people to join us on YouTube, if you could, because we want to get our subscriptions up. And the great thing, when you join us and subscribe to us on YouTube, it alerts you on every show. So you won't have to wonder what show is out there on YouTube, and it'll tell you on your computer when we're coming on and what the new show is. We just loaded up on YouTube. Today I'm doing a show, Heroin, a white man's killer. Back in the 1970s, there was a man named Nicky Barnes. He was a black man. He used to bring heroin into America and infiltrated the black communities. Today, when you look at the statistics on heroin, in 2013, 8,200 people died of heroin. 6,500 were white, and mostly white men. 1,700 were other. So as you can see, proportionally, we have about 75% of all heroin, 70 to 75% being used by white men in America and by white people in America. This now has become what people are saying is an epidemic in America because of the way it's going up. Here in Baton Rouge, where we are taping, 5 years ago there were 5 people in Baton Rouge who died of a drug overdose from heroin. But now, last year, it was over 40 people who died per our coroner. So we want to see what we can do to stop it, to help people, and as they're on it, to help them get off it. The 3 people you're seeing sitting here with me today have all been addicts. I have Dennis Forrest to my left. He is now the facility manager of Centacor, which is a multi-state, Texas and Louisiana, substance abuse dependency facility where they have long-term care and they have short-term care. And you have minors, I think, that come there, adults and minors, or younger than 18, teenagers?
No, our inpatient services is for adults 18 and up. We have outpatient services for adults and adolescents. And the minors.
So how young can they go? Can they come to Centacor?
18.
Okay, 18 is the youngest that they can come. Mm-hmm. Okay, he has also been an addict himself. He grew up in rural Texas, I think, to parents who were addicts. Yeah. And he quit school at 14, joined the Marines at 17, military at 17, and stayed there for 5 years till 1979 with an honorable discharge. Mm-hmm. And how did you manage that? You weren't on drugs yet, right, with the honorable discharge?
Actually, at that time, that's kind of when I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. During my Marines is when my drinking kind of got bad, yeah.
So then after the Marines, you were in a robbery, you committed a robbery. Were you alone in that robbery or multi-people?
No, it was just me.
That was years after.
Yeah. That happened at, I was 37 years
old.
Yeah,
I know, 37 years after, but you got a sentence for a non-violent, non-gun, non-weapon, 30 years in Texas. Texas doesn't play, do they?
No.
And in a way it's good, but in a way it's not.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be the man who you are today if you hadn't gone into that.
If I hadn't went to prison at that time, I wouldn't even be here. I'd be dead.
You'd be dead.
So prison actually saved my life.
It really did. Yeah. And I've heard other people say that before. Some things you think are bad are really God's way of showing you something that's going to happen to you that's good when you have the right attitude. What happened to Dennis, he was in prison, and I think his stepmother was an influence in his life, which who would have thought? But he saw a book called written by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and a lot of people have heard of it. I've read it. I like to live by that. The power of positive thinking. The mind is a wonderful thing. So now Dennis is sitting here as facility manager here in Baton Rouge, has a master's degree in literature, and he got GED, BS, and master's all while in the penitentiary system in Texas. So I think you're a tribute to you, and I have to give Centacor some kudos because they hired you knowing you had this problem, right?
They did. Centacor gave me a chance when a lot of companies wouldn't.
Right.
You know, they saw what I had accomplished in prison, and the area I was going. They
Right.
gave me an opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that.
Right. Now I'm going to turn to the two women who are addicts. In the 1800s here in America, you're going to see a picture of a Bear Company bottle that is a bottle that has heroin written over it. Heroin, cocaine, all the opiates, and opiates just means they come from the poppy plant, the opium plant over in mostly Afghanistan, which in 2001 when we invaded is when we started getting all the opium coming, more so coming, and the opiates coming into America when America in 2001. 96, I think it's a $4 billion industry to Afghanistan now, is the opiate trade there. But these two women would be very common being drug addicts back in the late 1800s, 1911, around that time. Women were the biggest opiate users back in the beginning of in the 1910s, 1911s. Then they decided, let's make cocaine and let's make the opiates illegal, because women were becoming too promiscuous using these drugs back at that time. And the men made it illegal. Thank God they did do that. So we can see how things have flipped with opiates, with cocaine, with all Nicky Barnes, black people in the 70s. Before that, white women, now white men. Let me talk to you, and this lady's name is Jennifer O, and this is Monica Maselli. Monica works at Louisiana Health and Rehab as an addiction counselor. Jennifer is one of her patients, is that correct?
I'm an alumni.
An alumni, you have graduated from there. But Jennifer has a very similar background that Dennis has. She came from poor parents. They were both addicts. They separated, got back together, separated, got back together. Sometimes good when the daddy was gone, it seems like, from when I was looking at your bio. And she had to hit rock bottom. Her mother, who she never would have thought would have been an influence to help her get off of drugs. She went into a long-term program, 28-day program, and decided, I'm going to change my life. Now she is an RGM with Pizza Hut, who took a chance on her, and is happy they did. So these two are a little similar. Now when I talk to Monica Maselli, as I said, is an addiction counselor at Louisiana Health and Rehab. Monica came from a middle-class family. Her father is Caucasian, and her mother is Hispanic, from Mexico, I think. So Monica, it was everyday thing in her house to, at 5 years old, give me a drink. What did you name that drink? Pompope is what they drink, and they would give it to you all to drink. It was fine. It had alcohol in it, right?
Right. It's a Mexican culture is to drink rompope. It's like an eggnog, and it's not like they gave us like bottles of.
Yeah, I know that, but
like
but you still were influenced by that as a 5-year-old.
Yes, ma'am. We would get these little glasses, and I loved it. I mean, to this day, you know, I can still taste the rompope if I think about it hard enough.
Do you drink it now? I mean,
No, ma'am.
you don't drink anything now,
No,
right?
ma'am, I don't drink anything or use anything.
Now, did you go to AA? You did go to AA. I saw that in yours. Did you? I didn't see. You did go to AA. Or did you go to AA?
I used actually Overcomers,
Okay, it's
which is
another
a
one.
12-step,
Okay.
but it's a biblically based 12-step.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of Overcomers before. Is that all over the nation too?
Yeah.
All over the world? Yeah. I'm familiar with it. I usually hear about AA. But Monica had molestation issues. She went into a mental rehab. Outpatient though with the mental, and some inpatient also with, you had dyslexia, they found out. You were molested a couple of times. You've been married, you've got children. Everybody up here has children. And, but when I looked at you all, the common thread that I could see was something clicked in you one day to make you say, I'm going to change my life. Yours was the book, and your stepmom, yours your mom in the 28-day program, and yours was when you got out of drug rehab, it seemed like. You already had a degree. You had been to UNO, graduated with honors. But then you decided to go back and get your master's from Grand Canyon. So, and now you're an addiction counselor. If you had to say one thing that changed your life to make you, was it the drug rehab and the mental rehab? Because they were close together in your early 40s, late 30s.
It would be the drug rehab is what's had the most effectiveness on my life. Actually, when I went into the mental rehab, it was due to using the drugs, and they didn't realize it at the time. And then, but when I went into the drug rehab is when I learned about how to connect with my higher power. And that right there is what totally just
do
changed
they teach
my
that
life.
in drug rehab?
Oh, yes.
It's about spirituality, whether you believe in God or not God, but it's somebody
Whether
more
it's God,
powerful.
Jehovah, whatever you want to call it. You
Right.
know, there's something out there bigger than you that
In a
has-
couple of weeks, I'm doing a show on religion. I've got a Universal Unitarian. They believe in I, not God. Is what we're going to talk about on that show. And I've got several religious shows out there on YouTube. I do that quite often.
So that's what really changed for me.
Yeah.
Is when I'd been looking for that special relationship
Yeah.
with my higher power up until then, and I remember just crying out,
Yeah.
God, take my life if I can't. I can't give it to you. I'm not strong enough, so just take it. And he took it full force, and I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah,
but
you prayed, I think, and so did you. You prayed that night, and the next day you went into rehab.
and so.
Yeah.
And so that's what really did it for me, is having this connection with my higher power that I never
But
had
do you
before.
think you had hit rock bottom? Because they say sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can go up. Do y'all believe that?
Oh yeah, I hit rock bottom. I still had a house, I still had a career, but I had lost myself. Like I wanted to die. I didn't want to be alive anymore.
Well, as I was reading your bio, every year, molestation here or attempted molestation, something happened bad here. You had a lot of different things going on all through your teenage years, your young years. You got hooked when you were 13, I think, when you had the 14 when you had the car accident. Were you in a wreck or somebody hit you?
Someone hit me. I was on my bike and someone hit me.
And didn't your mother tell him give her some strong pain pills or something?
And what she thought that she was doing the good
right
thing for
thing.
me.
Yeah, the
I
right
was
thing.
hurt.
Yeah.
I still have, pain from it, as a grown woman.
Right.
But with with how we all grew up, she didn't know any better.
Right.
As a family, we all drank, we all used.
Right.
I remember one time at a friend, my cousin, her son was having a birthday party, and she had a new boyfriend she was seeing, and he was very upset with us because we were off in the bathroom doing our own thing, and he was like, normal families don't get loaded at children's birthday parties.
Right.
We did not know. She didn't know.
We're a product of our environment. So it was
Right.
normal to you. It's normal to you. It's not normal to
Yeah,
the
she
other
didn't know
people.
either.
Right.
And it wasn't until my mother went into recovery.
Well, what made your mother go into recovery? If she thought this was a normal way to live, obviously she didn't like something about it.
My mother was busted and was put into drug court
That's why she was in
in Lafayette.
Yeah, okay. We're going to take a short break in just a minute. Is there one more thought you would like to give to that? And we're going to take a break after that thought and come on back to Diane Andrews in Black and White and this very, very encouraging story from these three very courageous people. Thank you. Come on back to Diane Andrews in Black and White.
Order your copies now of Diane Andrews' latest books, Third Man Out, a suspenseful mystery by Diane Andrews, and Gumbo for the Heart, 25 stories of faith, hope, and charity, both available now on Amazon.com.
Thank you for coming back to Diane Andrews in Black and White, as I said, to this very informative, but still I think this show is very inspirational because there are so many people, millions of people are on opiates, and a lot of them start from pills, whether they had an accident or peers. They're easy to get on the street. Is that right, Dennis, about getting the pills?
Absolutely, yeah.
So tell us how you started.
I started with pain pills, and then when I couldn't get the pain pills, I was with some peers, and I tried injecting and got hooked.
The heroin.
Yeah.
Now, heroin, since it's an opiate, it's morphine first, which we hear a lot of as a painkiller in the hospitals. Then it's refined more to be heroin, and it's all from that poppy seed plant, growing in Afghanistan and Colombia and Mexico. But Afghanistan, again, as I keep saying, I wonder why we're over there, America, with the largest poppy fields in the world. Okay, that's another show. But and all of y'all started with pain pills from we talked about your hospital
from the
stay.
doctor. Yep.
And
I got Dilaudid from kidney stones, and I also had another illness where I needed intravenous painkillers, and they gave me intravenous painkillers.
now this week, the Senate just passed a law to make it even tougher to prescribe pain medication to people. I think a lot of people go from one doctor to another and go get the pain. Is that how, tell me your story of getting your pain pills.
Well, we definitely doctor shopped, mostly over in Texas. We'd have you go spend a whole day in Texas and go to all these doctors and fill all your prescriptions and then come home. And we did a lot of that. Over time,
did you okay, this doctor I know is pretty easy, I'll get it from him?
Yeah,
well,
it was a business there.
Yeah.
They didn't ask you. I remember one time I was, I have two daughters, and I did not use when I was pregnant. But my father is an addict also.
Right.
So I remember I was 6 months pregnant with a hoodie zipped up and went into a doctor in Texas and told them that my back hurt.
For your father. You were getting
From
these
my
for your father.
and told them that my back hurt, and they gave me the, you know, pain medication. They gave me the Somas, the Xanax, everything. Like it's, I think
Vicodin,
it's better.
Oxycontin,
Yeah,
all
that.
those are opiates,
I think it's
yeah.
better now because they, the state sort of being stricter on those doctors and like linking the pharmacies up to where
Yes.
if, you know, they
Yeah.
would scan your ID when you would feel. So then it got harder, you know, but this
Yeah.
was, you know,
Well,
back in the
even
day,
now, I
probably
take
about 10
Claritin D.
years
That's the
ago.
only medicine I take for my sinuses. And when I go in, I have to give them my ID card now, and they make sure they
Right.
look in their databases, and you can only get it with so many days left, and they're pretty strict on that even.
Right. And it's not, and like I was saying earlier, you don't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be
A drug addict.
addicted to pills today.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how it works. Something happens for most people.
Right.
Something happened, they got hurt, and the doctor dishes them out. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't warn you. They don't say, don't take too many or don't take them for a long period of time. You know, they don't cut you off and say you're going to get addicted. You know, they just let it go. And then once you're addicted and you can't stop, then you're the problem.
Right.
You know, so I definitely agree with the stricter rules on it.
Right, right. I think all of you all do agree. We had already talked about that on the phone, Monica. And saying that, let's talk about how the different forms or different ways you can use heroin. Because I read, and you all definitely know better than me, with that first high, you're always trying to ascertain it again, and it never comes back because you need more and more drugs
time.
for it to come to that euphoric feeling that is hitting that neurotransmitter in the brain. And you never get it again, right?
Never.
And you're always searching for that feeling.
Always.
And then your
heroin,
liver's
too.
collapsing and
With heroin too, you build up you know, a habit, and after a while you're using just not get sick. You're not even really getting high.
Exactly.
yeah, because you don't have it physically, your body is
It's-
craving it because it becomes addiction.
Yeah,
That's what
in
happens.
the end,
It's a
that's what it
physical
is.
addiction.
So when you got off, how did that work? How sick were you during that period? How long did it last?
Violently sick.
Violently.
I had to,
Vomiting.
I had to be medically detoxed.
Now, I saw in
wouldn't-
Ray Charles' a story, they were giving him candy to get off when he was trying to kick heroin.
Well, it's that opiate users, we tend to crave sweets. It's, I
Anyway.
don't know what it is, we just tend to crave sweets. Most opiate users their entire lives, little
I still
kids
crave
love sweets. I still do.
I'm not opium user.
Hence
I like
the
sweets.
belly. Don't ever use it then.
right, right. So what about with you?
What about with me? When I was detoxing, I detoxed.
How many
I
days are we
detoxed-
talking, y'all?
Well, I detoxed.
Different people
from-
different, I guess.
detoxed from a variety of drugs at one time, and the one that
It was more than heroin
It was-
in your system. What all were you taking at that time?
At that time, I was taking quite a few things. I was taking a drug to wake up. I was taking like Vivance. I was taking benzos. I was taking Peridium.
You didn't
I
have
was taking
Clofafol, whatever
Topamax.
the Michael Jackson had to go to sleep. Propofol, did you?
Right. No, not that one. But I did. I had to take a drug for every function of my body. And so when I went to rehab, they took me off of everything. And I was
At
just
one
like,
time, cold
"Are you-"
turkey.
Yeah, cold turkey. So for me, it lasted quite a few days. I stayed inpatient.
Tell me what's quite a few. We talking 5, we talking 7, we talking 10?
I stayed inpatient for 49 days, and I know even after at 30, I was still like sick to my stomach and throwing up and things like that.
Are you having like fever and nausea, vomiting?
Right, you can have
Can't get up, stomach cramps,
Sweats.
sweats,
Yeah.
every day.
Every day, and then
It's
I
horrible.
was being medically.
Yeah, it's horrible. And you say that louder so people
Yeah,
out
it's
here can
horrible.
hear what you're
It's
saying,
very
so
horrible.
they'll understand this is nothing you want to do.
Never.
And I bet you hated yourself when you had to, you wanted it
course.
and you wanted to get off, but now your body's craving it. So I've got to go get it to shoot it up, and then I'm mad because I have to go get it, right? But then I want it again.
And you can't stop. It's
Tell
you
me a
can't
day, a
stop.
typical day in a terrible drug user's life. How much do you spend a day? Now heroin, they made it pretty cheap now because it's coming. A lot of it's coming through the border of Mexico, and Mexico's also growing it because we are so dependent on drugs. They're growing it too.
You can still easily have a $200 a day habit.
Easy. It's
That's very easy, even with the cheap drugs on the
Now-
street.
But
to say-
if you're making a small salary, I mean, there are a lot of functioning
But-
drug addicts out here who have good jobs,
I was.
right? You were.
I was functioning,
Yeah.
but
I was functioning until.
yeah.
Until
you know,
what?
I was functioning until the end, when the House of Cards was falling apart.
Right.
And there was just nothing left.
What-
You know.
Rock bottom.
Right.
What happens is that a heroin addict gets to a certain point in their life, they can't work.
Right.
They're fixing to not be sick, and they'll do whatever it takes to get their drug.
Whether
Lie,
they sell
steal.
my body, like the women did
Oh,
in
that's-
1911.
That's very
why they
common.
did
Men and
that.
women do that.
Yeah. Men and women.
But if I don't say anything else in this interview, I just want to say one thing about detoxing. If a person is a heroin addict and you have somebody that's trying to get off heroin, please send them to a medical detox because they can have seizures and die.
Right.
I kicked heroin in county jail, and it was not a pleasant experience.
Weren't you
You
vomiting all over the
dying.
cell? What did they do? Just let you lay in it?
I mean, they give you a few things, but it's not. If you go to jail, you're in trouble. If you're
It may be the
detoxing.
best thing could happen to you. You can't. do
Well, it was the
anything
best
but
thing
sit
happened to
there.
me, but I just want everyone to know if you're trying to detox off of heroin, please send them. Baton Rouge area detox there's plenty of places to go to get detox. Please go to detox if you want to live.
Where did you go?
I went
You
to
went-
Baton Rouge Detox.
You went there, and
Yeah.
you were in the drug rehab
To
program.
Red River.
Is that here in Baton Rouge?
No, it's actually in Alexandria.
Oh, okay. And that was the 49 days you stayed in there?
Yes,
That's where
ma'am.
you
I
were.
stayed 49 days in Red
So, let me know if I'm correct, and I think I am. If you all had not done what you just said, you'd all be dead by now, probably.
I would. I'd definitely be dead.
If I hadn't went to prison, I'd be dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's a miraculous story, but it's an attribute to you, Dennis, what you did in prison, from GED to BS. And you want to recite, before we go, you want to recite legacy for us, since you have a master's in literature?
I'd probably have to read it. I don't know if I could recite it, but I do have quite a few poems. Maybe
Yeah.
at another time I come on and read some poetry. if you
Yeah,
want.
that'd be great.
Poetry was very therapeutic to me in college.
Right.
At the end of my bachelor degree, I took a workshop in poetics.
Yeah,
And I kind of fell in love with poetry. I have quite a few published.
yeah, that's great.
But yeah, I think it was in the bio that I gave
It
you. I
is.
put that
The
one
whole
in.
poem, yeah, I read it. It was very nice. I read
Yeah.
it in the bio that you sent. And I think because I write, and my mother was sick, I was here taking care of her, and that's when I wrote my 2 books from, it is therapeutic if you can write.
Yeah, I want to say one other thing too. What happened to me in prison, a lot of the reason I was doing drugs, I didn't like myself clean.
Right.
And I would
Well, why
use
didn't you like
to
yourself
escape.
clean?
I wasn't a good person. Most people in addiction don't do good things. That's
Because you do whatever it takes
well,
to get what you need.
Yeah, you create a lot of bad thinking errors and bad habits. You lie, you steal, you do whatever you have to do to get your drugs.
Right.
So I reinvented myself in prison.
Right.
I hated the person
And you-
I was, and I
Dr. Norman Vincent Peale
Yes.
showed you you can be what you see.
you are what you think.
And try to see. Some even talk about the visualization along with that.
If
Did you
you
use
can-
that technique too?
If you can picture it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
That's right. What do you all? Did you all use any kind of techniques like Dr. Peale or anyone?
I read all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I just read all kinds of things. I was always looking for answers when I was growing up, and just anything.
What
that
were
I could
your
get my hand
answers?
on. My answers
were
right
what,
now
Monica?
Are coping skills that I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us, we don't know coping skills, so we do these horrible things because we don't know how to cope with things that are happening in our life. You know, that was my case. It was
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't know how to cope with things. And coping skills are not something that usually need to be taught to somebody, but in my case, I
What
need
about
to
your
be
mother?
taught.
What growing up, because you did come from a middle class family. We know both of theirs were addicts. Yours weren't. Tell me, what support were you getting, or what kind of criticism? What were you getting from your parents?
I was getting a lot of support, and I didn't understand the support. You know,
You didn't want the support. Did you
I
want to be
didn't
on
want it.
drugs? That's what I wanted to do. I want to be high.
It. I didn't want it. You know, my mom loves when she loves hard, and she was very protective of me. She
Yeah.
was very caring. And what do you do with this child who has so much trauma and drama?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you do? She would bring me to a therapist one time. I remember I was 16 and I was stealing beer from the refrigerators, and the therapist was like, well, just let her drink as much as she wants at home. And I was horrible. I went up with the beer and I opened the beer and I said, here, Mom, look, watch. And my mom hated it.
Because the doctor had said it, so she had
Right.
to adhere to what he said.
So, and I was just, you know, and I was like, look. And she said, you're not going to drink the whole thing? And I said, yes, and then I'm going to drink another. You know? And
Just
I was
belligerent little girl, right?
I was horrible. I was horrible. And I didn't realize how horrible I was being. I was just,
You were being you
I was
at the
being-
time.
yes, I
That's all
was.
you were doing,
That-
being me.
I
I
was
want to
being
do what I
me.
want to do.
I was being me, and I didn't understand. I wanted to go to military school because my friends were going to military school, and they were being able to use drugs there. And my mom was like, no, you're staying here. You're my child, and I'm going to keep you here. And I was so mad at her.
Let me ask you to give one statement. I'm going to ask each one of y'all to give a statement to the audience of what you would tell them to do, the people that are on drugs out there.
I would tell them I would tell them to find a clinic and learn some coping skills, and that you are not a horrible person. Just because you've done terrible things does not mean that you're a horrible person, and you have a purpose, and you owe it to yourself and to the world to find that purpose.
Very good.
I agree. This is not who you are. Find a clinic, find help. They have links everywhere, all over the internet, on Facebook. I mean, anywhere you look, you can find help. It doesn't have to end like this.
I would say that you have to make a decision for change. Change is possible if you change, if you accept it. And seek help. There's a lot of people out there that are help. We're there. You just got to ask for it.
We're going to be right back with Diane Andrews in Black and White. Thanks for coming back to Diane Andrews in Black and White. The audience brought up some points that one of you all is going to elaborate on, that opiates are now in boleros and every place else around, synthetic.
Right. There's some synthetic opiates that people can buy, and people are dying from it. And it's not controlled, because even if you're tested, a lot of times the test won't show up on the test because it has just a little bit of a different composition. And so therefore people are taking it more often.
Right.
Then there's also this other thing that's out right now. It's a cheaper form of heroin called crocodile. And if you miss your vein, it will actually eat your skin and your muscles, and they're also calling that the zombie drug.
Because you're going to look like a zombie if you take that. My
Yes,
goodness.
ma'am. So those are two different things that, be careful with.
During the break also, I wanted Dennis, I had his poem with me, and he's going to read it for you. One thing I want you all, and I thank you, because this show is about everyday people doing extraordinary things. And this is a very encouraging, it shows anybody can do what they want to do in life, including getting off heroin, which is one of the hardest things in life to do. Let's hear your poem, Legacy.
Okay. Legacy.
He wrote this.
Legacy. His long, slender hands with their distinctively curved nails placed perfectly across his chest reminded me how quickly life passes, that my own life had passed like an event on the evening news, that it was his legacy I had been running to all these years, through that awkward transition from innocence to awareness, through the narcissistic years of self-indulgence, through all those mirages in the desert wastelands of youth filled with so much sweet flesh. The enemy nearly got what he wanted once, but then my heart tasted its own bitterness. I would see those same curved nails on the innocent hands of my newborn daughter a few weeks later, and all I could do was hang my head and weep.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dennis. And he's got several other poems published, as we said. When you create something, it makes you feel better. Thank you very much from Diane Andrews in Black and White. I'm glad you all enjoyed the show, and keep on watching, keep on tuning, and keeping on promoting us, and we'll show you what things to make your life better, because that's why I do this. Thank you. Bye-bye. Diane Andrews.